Removing this parcel shelf on the saloon involves having to take out the rear backrest and the rearmost pillars as well. First step is really simple, just pull out your headrests. The plastic bit unclips from the base, give it a wiggle, there we go. There we are. Next step is to get a flathead, remove these plates here. I think you just turn the little bung, quarter of a turn. One. Two. You don't have to remove the rear door seals, but I just find it gives that little bit more space, which is handy when getting the rear bench out. And they just pop off, like so. Really easy. Lastly, behind here, there's a little 10mm. Technically there should be two, but on mine someone's had it out before and broken one of the studs. So there's only one on mine, which I'm very careful with. Bye-bye. This is now usually a case of unclipping from the bottom and sliding it up. Like that. There we go. Just got to be careful of all the wires and everything that sit around the battery tray. There we are. I bought this a while ago. Just a trim piece set. It is absolutely brilliant. I think it was like 20 quid off Amazon. Brilliant. Get some of those. And it just pops out. Connector on this side again for the light. And it really is that easy. The shelf itself is held in with a load of little pop rivets that go in these holes. Now the reason they're not in there is because I took them out when I took the parcel shelf out previously. And it just lifts out, easy peasy. There you go. There are just some tabs at the back that you have to pull towards you. There we are. You can see these are the small clips I mentioned. So they literally just slot in and out. And then they sort of sit. You can't see it because they're black on the screen, but they sit down behind there and just slot into the metal bodywork. So this is where my speaker grill goes, as you can see. That just kind of sits in the corner there, like that. But obviously this is all broken, which is also something I need to repair. I have bought myself a fiberglass resin sort of repair kit. There you go, so you can clearly see how much it's faded. That's where the speaker cover was, that's where it tucks down the side of the pillar, and that's the bit that's showing. There's also a couple of other broken bits I didn't realise. Here, here, here. First I'll cut the sheet, just peel off any excess bits that will only cause a bit of trouble. Something like that. It said I've got to mix this 300 to 1. Not sure how I'm going to measure that. So that's 20mm, that's 242mm. I'll do a rough estimate, I'm in no hurry. It's 300 to 1, so I'll just put a few drops in. Really good mix. I'll put a bit of resin on the board first, and then I'll lay the mat over the top, I suppose. Yeah, then like I say, if I overlap it, I can then trim it, can't I? Says it dries within 50 to 70 minutes. If you've done the calculations right. Can't be much more to it than that, really, can there? Right, I've got to do another section now, otherwise I'll waste all this resin. Gonna hold this shape here. What can I put on here to hold it? Could you get me an axle stand? Maybe that's too heavy. Oh no, there you go. Sitting that axle stand on it has given it, you know, the right shape again. So I'll just leave it in here. It's pretty dry, it's still a bit tacky. But it's a bit warmer inside, so I'll just leave that to dry before I then, you know, trim it all properly tomorrow. Then I'll get on with doing this bit. Here we are the next morning. Left it to dry overnight and it's gone completely solid. So my mixing ratio seemed to have been about right. The finish on that side isn't quite as good. You can still see the crack, but it is in a much better shape. And I think by the time you get the fabric over it, tucked right in the corner, you won't really notice. On with the repair on the corner. Best way to do this would be to use the speaker grill as a guide. Something like that. The trick will then be obviously trying to do this without getting resin on that. I might wrap this in cling film just to be safe. That's a good idea. I'll do that. So that will then allow me to keep it in there, apply resin, but not get it stuck in. Repeat previous steps. Easy peasy. I've got some little offcuts here from yesterday, so those could be useful. Never waste any material. No matter how small, you can often use it again. This could be more difficult than I thought. I'll employ a little more wood. Bloody gloves. Do you know what? That's better. We'll give that a go. Try to set these up with a couple of clamps. Repair a little bit, a little section, and then take it slowly from there. It's always so tempting to fiddle with it as well, but you shouldn't. I think if I try and cut a corner into this, like that, and then sort of lay it in there roughly, soak it all in. I think what I might do to help speed up drying is use a heat gun, because yesterday when I put it inside, where it's much warmer, it's like 20 degrees as opposed to 6 in the garage, it suddenly dried. So I'll apply some gentle heat with a heat gun. Yeah, that's not hot at all. Look, I can put my hand there, lowest setting. Because technically, this stuff is flammable. That's all I'll do. Another sheet. It's not perfectly lined up, but it's good enough. You've got to remember that this is going to sit right in the corner and have fabric stretched over it anyway. So that will hopefully hide any misalignment. You've got to remember as well, this doesn't have to be as strong as anything like a bumper or, you know, a body panel or anything like that, because it holds no structural integrity whatsoever. Oh dear. Aha! That corner's got a couple of layers on it now. It's roughly in shape. This is so delicate trying to clamp that. Put resin on, but then try not to get it on the clamp. So it's getting there. That's just the first layer. So this bit has been done. There was also a crack here that I'd done. It hadn't completely broken, but it was bent and had a crack in it. This bit has been sorted. So this should be the last bit of this shape. See if you have a look, it's roughly, I'm just sitting that on the box there, but that's roughly, it's roughly flat. And I've held the speaker up against it to make sure it's fairly in line as well. That bend is meant to be there, by the way. Same on the other side. See how it bends up. Luckily that didn't stick on. So that all seems to be holding pretty well. Just take that box out from underneath. Ooh, that's just holding it up. Oh, there you go. Holds under its own weight. Yeah, I'll give it a... I'll chop these bits off with the scissors. And then I'll go round with the Dremel just to tidy it up. And that's my little patchwork repair I've done there. There were two hairline cracks, well not hairline cracks, but there's a crack there and a crack there. So I've just put 2 layers on each crack. That should be the repairs all done. Just have a bit of tidy up. Always keep your workplace clean. That's some resin that had solidified in the bottom of the cup. So, will the speaker grill fit? There's a little bit there I need to trim first. I'll go around that with a Dremel to tidy it up, but it's just to test this speaker grill. It's a little bit tight. That's because that tab's not in. That's better. Not too shabby. The reason I didn't do any fiberglass stuff on this side was I didn't want any sort of lumps and bumps in the cloth when I put that on. So I did it all on the back. The next step is to trim off these edges. I'm going to use a Dremel with a tiny little disc cutter attachment on it. Safety first. Start off on a really low speed. Wow, that goes through there really well. That is a really nice, clean cut. Bit more speed. In order to get into these corners, I'm going to swap from the cutting disc to a small grinding thing. It's just made out of a sandpaper, and we'll see how we get on with that. Wow, that works brilliantly, and the radius just happens to be the same as that. So it fits right in. Perfect. I'm trying to hold my breath whenever I'm doing it, so I'm not breathing in any dust. Yeah, pretty pleased with that. Speaker grills. There you go. The next thing that I had enormous trouble with was trying to source some fabric. I went to several different companies, and to be honest, they were just useless. First of all, their customer service was terrible. I won't name names, but yeah, 2 or 3 different places were just not particularly helpful, not able to find the right stuff, or just equally took weeks and weeks to get back to me. I think they don't bother with small orders quite as much. They prefer large orders for people who are offering a few, you know, to purchase a few £1,000s worth of stuff for retrimming a car. But anyway, rant over. There's no worries. The people who were able to source the right stuff in the end were Martrim, funnily enough, one of the best known people. I'll put a link in the description to this fabric, but it's very, very similar to the original stuff. It's not quite the same, but it's a very fine Alcantara. I'm not sure if you can pick that up on camera, but as with suede, you can brush it one way or brush it the other way. The most important thing with this stuff is that it's not foam backed. It's just a thin bit of fabric, so it was going to be really, hopefully, a lot easier to get into all the nooks and crannies. So it comes in a 1 metre roll, I think. So I ordered 1.5 metres length, which this will fit into. So in order to glue it, I've got some adhesive spray, but I've had it for a couple of years, so I thought I'd buy some new stuff. It was really easy. I just found this off Amazon. Again, I'll put a link in the description. There's nothing particularly special about it. It's a general strong spray adhesive, as it says, suitable for tiles, carpet, foam, etc. And then felts, textiles and fabrics. Now, I don't need anything super strong. The reason being, we've not got gravity working against us with this. So as long as I ensure that I put enough glue in all of the tight sections, it should be fine. So, I think now it's a case of spraying some of this on each surface, and then you've got to let it go tacky, and then put them together. I'll give this a quick brush and a hoover again, just to ensure that it's nice and clean. Onwards. Just to show how I've set this up, I've just overlapped underneath the parcel shelf, the fabric there, and then what I plan to do is, this is obviously the side you stick down to that, what I plan to do is spray kind of sections at a time and then gradually move it over and unroll it, so hopefully that'll work. I thought I'd made a big enough bench, but you can never have a big enough bench. Be handy if it was about double the size for this. I thought about laying the fabric out on the dining room table, gluing it all, and then putting this on upside down, but I don't think that's going to work, because that won't allow me to really push into all these sections where I might need a bit of extra fabric. And then of course the pressure would just make it peel off over time. So these deep bits, I think doing it this way will gradually allow me to put it in and work down. Wish me luck. Got to leave that for a couple of minutes. Yeah, 3 to 5 minutes. Here we go. quite scary. You have to work really quickly and be accurate in order to avoid any sort of lumps and creases where you've got too much fabric. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and push into that dimple that sits, not dimple, but there's like a shape here it's got to conform to. So I'll go along and push it in. And then I'll do the same on the speaker grill here. So again, that needs pushing in. The speaker grill will hold it into this section obviously anyway, so that's quite handy. This fabric delivered cost me £56, I believe. Just to let you know, so I'm worried about ruining it, but you know, hopefully we should be okay. Fingers crossed. We'll see how we get on. You know, if it goes wrong at the end of the day, I can always just send it off to a professional to be done again. But I like to try these things myself. I don't actually know what the difference is between suede and Alcantara. I don't know if one's synthetic and one's real. I've always called it suede. But there we go. Blue suede shoes, probably, that's why. Hard to see, even though I've only done about that much. I'm happy with it so far. I'll just do a close-up. There you go. You can see where it's starting to conform to that shape. This is where I've tucked it in along here. It's the speaker grill. Like that. It's only glued to about here so far. So again, I'll leave that a couple of minutes to settle in, and I'll peel it back as far as I can, do another section, etc. It's been about 10 minutes. Let's try again. So again, roll it back until the point it starts gripping. Leave it another couple of minutes to go tacky. I thought to save time I'd spray the whole board and make it go tacky, and realised actually I could have done with 2 of these. Luckily I've got another contact adhesive spray. I'm not sure if you should mix them, but I'm in a situation where I'm desperate, so. Again, leave that for a couple of minutes. A big crease here, a bit of a disaster. Oh, there we go. It's quite difficult to not get areas that sort of bunch up and you get an excess bit of fabric, because it's such an unusual shape. It went okay. There are quite a lot of creases and bumps that I'm just gradually sort of feeding out, if that makes sense, where you have to sort of stretch the fabric and then push it down. It's still very slightly wet, so I'm able to do this. However, obviously you wouldn't be able to do it when it's completely dry. Exactly as I thought, the bits that are most difficult to stick down are the these bits here. What I'm going to do is trim around the edge, the excess material. So I'm just trimming it, and I'm leaving a little bit around the edge so that I can just tuck it under and glue it. I'm just trimming it very slowly and gradually, bit by bit. That's roughly cut to shape. Just gluing this section in here where it overhangs. I'll show you how I've done it. Really simple. Literally just spray a bit of glue. Again, wait for it to go tacky. Ooh. Got to be very careful if you get any glue on the edges of your fingers not to then touch the underneath. Because that's the, or the top, sorry. Because that's the bit that you'll see. There we go, simple as that. There you go. Now, none of this is the neatest job from this side. Speaker holes. I think what I'll do is cut it out with this. Leave a bit to overlap, then go into the corners, glue, fold. Start here, mind you don't stab your hand. Go all the way to the corner. Maybe a few millimetres from the corner. Obviously there's too much here, so I'll just trim that down so that it goes over a little bit. This is the bit we want to get it to conform to the shape, so you want to tuck it back in under here first, under this ledge, hold it in, you know, with one hand and then fold it over with the other. Same thing there, fold, hold, fold. All about holding and folding, this job. Hold and fold, hold and fold, hold and fold. You have very little time if you make a mistake to correct it, so make sure you're thinking a couple of steps ahead. Hold and fold. Pinch along there, pushing it right in with this finger, like so. Back on itself. And there we are. See what that looks like. Doesn't look too bad. Same again for this speaker grill. Just an observation I've found about these sprays and adhesives. It does say, you know, spray them, wait for them to go tacky, etc, etc. For, you know, wait a couple of minutes. But I found, in all honesty, you can wait 5 or 10 seconds and it's ready. It seems to be working, doing it fairly quick. I don't see the need to wait for too long. You know, you spray both surfaces with a reasonable amount and they get pretty sticky very quick. And if you leave it for 3 minutes and then make a mistake and need to change it, you're not going to be able to, because it won't peel off again. So the speaker grills have a, or used to have a fabric on them at one point. You can see it's all rubbed off. So I'm just going to take it all off now. It's just so weak over the year, you know, become really weak that it just sort of disintegrates really. The stuff is so weak that it's actually got stuck in the grill there. Got a plastic brush, not a wire one. Try and push it all out from this side. These weren't cleaning particularly well, and then ran them under the tap. To try and get it all off, just going to use a heat gun to dry them. That's better. Oh, still hot. Oh, a little bit tight. Ah, there we go. Not too bad. Pretty pleased overall. There's a few places where the fabric's kind of, you see there's bumps. That'll be tucked under. Just where I haven't stretched it enough. Right, can't forget these. So they slot into these holes like that. There we are. Sunlight shows all the bits that haven't stuck properly. Not too shabby though. Next to the little rivets I mentioned, there's like a plastic expanding nut. So that shaft goes into it, brings it open. I've got to make the holes in the fabric. So I'll do it with a little tool. One's about there, for example. There you go. It's gone straight through the fabric, through the hole that was already in the parcel shelf, and into the hole in the body. Another one. I think I said there were 6 of these when I took the car apart, but there's not, there's 4. And the last one, just here, there we go. So get the little plastic rivet, might be a bit tight, but poke it through the hole and put them through the parcel shelf before I locate them, as they're quite tight. Once they're all in, then locate them in the hole in the body. Just pushing on the outer rim to make sure they're all the way in. Give it a tap. There you go. Easy as that. Next are the pillar covers. Now I thought about trimming these as well. But I haven't, and I'll tell you why. The reason being, the fabric I sourced is very slightly different to the original parcel shelf pillars and headlining, so I would prefer the difference in fabric to be between the pillar and the parcel shelf than between the headlining and this pillar. I think that's a better compromise, because then you know, the front pillars would then be different to these pillars, which, you know, I'd like to change everything for Alcantara at some point, but the headlining is a pain, so, you know, very low down on the list of priorities. So hence I haven't redone these. So you can see there is a slight difference, but really not the end of the world. I think this is a vast improvement to the purple before. So right, first thing, put the lights in. I can never remember which way they go. They go that way, I believe. So that the map reading light points down. There we go, like so. don't forget to plug it in. Like that. There's actually a little groove in the sort of the padding here that is supposed to sit in, and then there's a little plastic tab here as well. Get it lined up. Quite fiddly. I think with the new material slightly thicker than the old one, it really takes up, you know, no, it makes it really tight around the edges. Here we are. Backrest next. This is one of the most awkward things to move. There we are. Now you hook it over and drop it down. And locate the lower securing eyelets. There you are. Make sure it's hooked in on both sides at the top. Yep, looks okay to me. Securing bolt in the middle first, which I think is a 10mm. Let's do that by hand and give it a tiny snug up with this. There you go, I think that will do. And then the two plastic body nuts that go in each corner, again 10mm. Other side, start by hand. They just clip in like that. Little sort of aesthetic trim cover for the top of the seat belt. Get it lined up, and there you are. Getting dust on it already. Seat belt, and time to secure the other seat belts at the bottom. It's a big bolt, I think a 17 for that. Okay, so just make sure that seat belt is in, because it goes through like that and sits in there when not in use. Then there's like a locating dowel. Now, I don't know if this is normal, but I am going to use a little bit of thread lock on these securing bolts, because the last thing you want to happen is for these to rattle themselves loose. So I'm just going to dab a tiny bit onto the bolt, just to be safe. There you go, that's what you need, just a dab. So when not in use, that just sits out of the way in there. Pretty neat. Lovely. Other side. Seat base next. There we are. Push all the way back. Falls into the little tabs at the front. There's one. Two. Top trims next for the headrests. They're not quite central, so the shorter section goes towards the front of the car. Pop them on, and the quarter turn like that. Headrests. I just sit in, push them down, engage that black trim piece. This bit here, got the clips. There we are. Very last thing is just to pop these door seals back on. Like that. Perfect. And there we are, all done. It looks a million times better. The colour isn't exact, but it's close. And it's not perfect, but it's much better than it was. I'm very pleased with that.